What's up, Capricorn? So we got a card description. This is a card from the Herbal Astrology Oracle deck by Adriana Yalas. And then after we go through the card description, we'll do the actual reading itself, okay? And the card here is Horsetail with the subtext of patience, endurance, steady focus, period of gestation, trust the process, heightened sensitivity. Whenever you cross tails with a horsetail, you are looking at a member of the sole surviving genus of a once great lineage. Prehistoric horsetail is said to have been giant compared to the remaining species that exist today. The primitive plant is a descendant of large trees from the Paleozoic era. About 375 to 600 million years ago, these plants emerged from primordial swamps over 100 million years, long before dinosaurs walked the earth. All cultures to which horsetail was native used it as a food and medicine, often cooking it like vegetable or chewing it raw in the springtime. Horsetail strengthens the connective tissue such as skin, hair, nails, bones, teeth, cartilage, ligaments, and even mucous membranes. In ancient times, it was referred to as a bone mender, as it was used to help heal broken bones, fractures, and osteoporosis. Horsetail is ruled by Saturn Horsetail is ruled by Saturn as strengthening the skeletal system and connective tissues and promoting wound healing, hair growth, skin protection, and bone strength are all in the ring planet's domain. Saturn also corresponds with the processing of minerals within the body, particularly the kidneys. Horsetail also nourishes. Archetypically, Saturn provides us protection, shielding, courage, endurance, patience, self-control, and the blessing of challenge. Saturn, known as Kronos in Greek, is the lord of time and viewed as a destructive, all-devouring force. Yet Saturn isn't as malevolent as it is portrayed to be, as its energy teaches us self-mastery, the power we are granted once we overcome the cycles of pain and suffering. Horsetail teaches us of the power that lies within patience, the endurance gained through the hidden blessings of challenges. There is something good in all seeming failures, and although it may not be clear in that moment, time will reveal it. Trust the process, and remember that stubbornness and willfulness are counterproductive to loosening knots. Instead, like the medicine of the horse, ground to Earth's energy, adapt to changes and hardships along the journey. Horse medicine provides us heightened sensitivity and the pure trust, and the purity of trust, essential tools to have as we navigate life's journey. Invoke the strength of the horse as a power animal when you need increased psychic sensitivity and intuition. Okay, so first off, for those that don't know, Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. So this idea of Saturn and understanding Saturn and coming to really a true relationship with the idea of Saturn may be very much what you guys really need to move forward and forge ahead. Saturn has a tremendous, it has this, it's called the Great Malefic, and you'll see that in this particular, I think it's, who is it? It might be Gemini that comes out with this, but there's one particular segment in this week where Horsetail was also pulled, and it's called the the power of the power bestowed by the Great Malefic, or something like that. You guys can look into that as well. And some tropes may actually, we'll talk a little bit about some of the things, but I'll try to keep it Capricorn here. When it comes down to the idea of the power of a Capricorn, the power of Capricorn in general, you should definitely have an understanding that Capricorn rules over maturity, things that are old, things that are mature, things that are resilient. And also, this idea, this analogy that I've used in the previous, the one from this week as well, this idea of Saturn return, it happens sometime around, late 20s, early 30s, but it also happens, later on in life, around around 60, a little bit before 60. But the idea here is that when it comes down to the Saturn return, your first Saturn return is what we're going to focus on right now. When you think about somebody, or the archetype for a lot of younger adults is, hey, I'm gonna make it to, if you're in your earlier, mid 20s, hey, I'm gonna make it to Forbes under 30 because I'm the hottest thing, the best and the brightest, and you got this idealistic way of thinking about life, right? But as you progress, as you mature, as you go through Saturn, your Saturn return, which is happening in the late 20s, early 30s, you come into an understanding of what it really takes to succeed in life, to really succeed in life, right? It becomes of, hey, I'm gonna get it because I'm just the most special person ever, to, okay, if I spend X amount of sustained effort doing this particular task, then I'll achieve success, and I'll be, able to succeed in that particular way. And that's a real big difference there. The respect that you have for Saturn after a Saturn return is really one of the true markers of somebody who's really come into a healthy Saturn return in a lot of cases. There are some unhealthy ones, right? We're talking about general archetypes here, right? There are definitely some exceptions to the rules. There are going to be some people under the age of, in their mid 20s, or early to mid 20s, that are going to be more understanding of what it takes to succeed, which is very, very much good and very much helpful. But there's also going to be people over, in their, mid 30s to late, to 40s. They're still not going to really understand the aspect of what it takes to succeed, where they need to have sustained effort. But when it comes down to the archetypes here, it's a respect for time. It's a respect for resiliency. It's a respect for kind of having a catalog of what you've done, what you've accumulated over time, the hurdles that you've overcome, the challenges that you've faced. You have respect for that, right? So someone trying to hire someone in a position of authority, Saturn, they'll look for people who have those things, who demonstrate those things, and who have a track record of doing that. And the power, I would say, and the idea of Capricorn, this archetype, is that you guys can come to really have a true relationship with this idea of overcoming challenges. And you can see you guys can have a different reaction to the idea of challenges and roadblocks, right? This chance to build muscle to overcome a roadblock. You don't see it as, oh my goodness. A lot of times you may see you can grow to see it as, okay, this is going to be more weight that I'm going to be able to lift in the future. Like I'm picturing somebody like looking at a weight rack and thinking like, okay, cool, I have to get to this particular weight, let me go ahead and work my way up to that. That's power. That's real power. And that's not just the power that really comes and goes. That's the power that stays and truly has true staying power. So this idea of really your relationship with Saturn is very important and very much instrumental to your growth and your success as a person in general, I would say. And Saturn's at the top, or Capricorn's at the top of the chart. Don't forget that, right? It is. And it's funny because this is like when we talk about Capricorn, Saturn that rules over Capricorn. Saturn is the most feared planet. It's called the Great Malefic in a lot of sense, which is crazy because it's just like it has, when we talk about the ability to really the gifts that it can give, it gives greater gifts than Jupiter, right? The Great Benefic, we'll say, right? That it's called. And that's what's so interesting here, is because we have this understanding that, hey, this is going to require work. And we see that as not necessarily the respect that we're gaining, the people in the future who we could be definitely aspiring by what we, by the idea of them facing challenges whenever they face challenges and overcoming challenges. A lot of times we just see it as, hey, this is just a problem, and this is this is your ultimate power, is that you don't see it as that. You see it, back to that analogy, you see it as, hey, you gotta have, this amount of weight on the weight rack, so you have to work up to that and before you make it to the next level. When you see a roadblock, you instantly get to an idea of, okay, so I have to get this strong. In that relationship that you have with roadblocks or any type of challenges in general, you have something there, and you need to most certainly develop that relationship with Saturn, and understanding this world, and having a true a healthy relationship with the 3D in general, right? Because I think over time we've had kind of an understanding that it's just like there's a lot of wisdom here, and you want to be able to use that wisdom in terms of helping you succeed in 3D and in the 3D world in a lot of cases, because that'll help you sustain and be able to essentially act as a platform for other people. A problem that we've seen with Saturn is now we have, for instance, we're looking at like a lot of Congress people who are just old and too old. This is very much it's kind of a situation to where these people have used Saturn to and use the idea of Capricorn in a very malefic way in a lot of cases. This energy of being old and established, they want to simply hold on and be addicted to power. And it's detrimental at this particular point, at this particular juncture, because you have now people looking around like, hey, you know how like hard I work to get here and this and that and all that stuff, and it's just like these people are completely blind to the idea that this society's a Ponzi scheme. Like it really it really has turned into that, and they think, hey, this Ponzi scheme worked out fine for me, so you guys just need to, buck up. If less of you, if a smaller percentage of you makes it, then hey, so be it. Like it's not, and it's not it. There, I don't want to get on a rant here, but the idea here is that you want to be able to take power, use power in a way that breaks this patterning that we have as a society. That's what I would personally really recommend for people that develop this relationship with Saturn, because you do have a unique relationship with challenges that's going to allow you to get to the top of the mountain. In a lot of cases, Saturn or Capricorn rules over mountains as well, for those that don't know, and you want to use that in the right way. Most certainly, I do this idea of the Renaissance seminar not to simply state the good, but also bring this idea of what that means in the new world and for the new world in a lot of cases. And you guys have a very unique potential, and I feel like I'd rather you guys couple that with the idea of how this society can heal. And if anything, I hope to see you guys next week, and just have a good week in general. Thank you.